everyone, Miss Scheck here, and today we're going to talk about our 4 philosophies of choir, or I like to call them pose, which means P, O, S, and E. Now our first step of pose is posture. Posture has to do with how you sit or stand. Now in choir, we sit and stand in a certain way. So I know in everyday life you probably stand with your shoulders hunched a little bit, with your head down maybe your feet are right next to each other, all just like that. Now when we sing in choir, starting from our feet, we want our feet to be shoulder width apart. So what that means is you take your hands from your shoulders and you travel them down to your body until you get to your legs. So you make sure that your legs are right underneath where your shoulders are. The reason we stand shoulder width apart is because if we're too far apart, you don't have enough balance. You're not stable in your standing. And if your feet are too close together, then it harms your muscles in your stomach and your lower back, which are muscles that you need for properly breathing. So we need to make sure that we are shoulder width apart. Now when we breathe while we sing, we breathe into our stomach. So the first thing that expands when you breathe for choir should be your stomach. So that's why we need to stand shoulder width apart, so you have enough balance and enough muscle support to support your breathing for choir, to sing as best to your abilities as you can. Now, staying on the legs, the next important step in posture is your knees. Now, your knees don't need to be bent completely, but they also cannot be super stick straight, because if your knees are bent, then you're still not in a stable position. And if your knees are super stick straight, then you can actually lose blood flow to your legs, and you could pass out if you stand like that for too long. So when you're standing while singing, it is important that your knees are only slightly bent. So I like to shake them out first and then get them loose and nice and comfortable and then stand for singing. That's just what I do. You can do it however you like. Now the next part of posture, standing, at least the standing part, has to do with our arms. I know in the past there are people that sing with their arms behind your back, and there are people that sing with their arms in front, clasped together. In my class, the way we have our arms while we stand is just nice and loose to our sides, with our thumbs facing forward. Now the reason for that is because if you put your arms in front of you, your shoulders come a little bit forward, right? And that hurts your breath coming from your stomach all the way up. And breath is very important in choir. So we don't stand with our arms in front, but also we don't do back. The reason we don't put our arms behind is because it forces our shoulders sometimes to go too far back. So then we still can't get enough breath to fill our lungs and to fill our stomach. So we don't do back, we don't do forward, we keep our arms nice and relaxed at our sides. Now as for our head, when you sing, you need to keep your head nice and level. So you got to make sure your neck and your head is one straight line. How I do that is I make a letter L. I don't know if this is my left hand. I'm not good with my right and left, but you make an L, and you put one part, you put your pointer finger on your chin, and your thumb goes on just the top part of your collar, and that's how you can tell that your head is nice and level. The reason we need our head nice and level is because if you tilt your head up, then it strains your vocal cords here, and it makes it harder to produce certain notes. So a lot of people will tilt their head up to sing high notes, but that actually doesn't help because it just strains your vocal cords and makes it harder to sing. Now tilting your head down also changes your vocal cords, and it makes them tighter together, and that also makes it harder to hit certain notes. So that's why when we sing, you need to keep your head nice and level so you can reach all of your notes and so that your breath can be used to its full potential. Now, the next letter of our pose, I didn't talk about sitting. If you sing if you decide to sit while we sing, what I like to do is I like to get my posture nice and ready for standing first, and then sit down. Because the posture for sitting is a lot like the posture for standing, except you are in a chair. So that means you have to make sure your feet are nice and flat on the ground, and your back is nice and tall, and your head is nice and level. Now, when we sit while we sing, we sit on the very edge of our chairs. The reason for that is because if we sit too far back, not only can our feet not necessarily touch the ground, but also because then our backs can't be as straight as we need them to be. So we need to sit all the way in the very front of our chair. Now, the second part of our pose is the letter O, and O stands for open mind. Now, open mind means a mind that is open, right, to new opinions and ideas. So what that means in choir is being open to trying new music. So whether it's music you've never heard before, or instruments you've never seen, or cultures that you've never seen or heard of, or whatever the case may be, it's important to respect those cultures that the music comes from and to learn as much as we can and to try our best to accurately portray that music. So as a teacher, I like to introduce to you guys a bunch of different music from all around the world. That's just something I love to do because I love showing music and how it can be different, but how it can bring everybody together. And so because of that, as an open mind, it's our job to not only come into every musical experience being ready and willing to try everything, but it also means putting in our best effort to make the music as close to the original as we can. Now our next letter is S, and S stands for singing. Now, singing is very important in choir. I know you guys know that. And the reason it's so important to me in my philosophies is because singing is kind of what we do here. Singing is an important aspect of our class, but also an important element of showing how we feel every day. So showing joy, showing anger, sadness, happiness. Through singing, we can show our emotions. So singing is very important, at least to me, not only because our class is all about singing, but also because through singing we can share who we really are. And our last letter, E, it stands for effort. Now, for effort, what I mean by that is making sure that you are putting in 100% of what you can into class every day. I know that means that effort, 100% of effort looks different to everybody. And so I know that some people will come into class already knowing certain things, already being ready to move on to the next level, being ready to do above and beyond what I expect. And I know for others, their effort is putting their all into learning what I have to share and putting their all into maybe helping a classmate understand what it is that I would like to share with you guys, or just coming into class with a smile on your face and ready to learn, and that could be 100% effort for the day. Obviously, effort is important in all of your classes. The reason I bring it up in choir specifically is because I know as an elective class, some people might be inclined to treat choir a little bit differently than other classes. But it requires as much effort in one class. It requires as much effort as your core classes or even as your other electives, and maybe even a little bit more. Because in choir we learn not only how to sing in English, we learn how to sing in foreign languages, and we learn the language of rhythm, right? Which is something, if you're also in band, you'll also learn the language of rhythm in band. But we learn a separate language just of rhythms. And we also learn a language that you don't even learn in band. I'm not going to spoil it for you guys. It's a surprise. But we learn a whole separate language just for singing. Just for learning how to sing new notes, and just for learning our music. We learn a whole separate language just for that. And so that requires a lot of effort to learn all of those different languages and to be able to sing in all of them. So that is my 4 philosophies for choir. That is my pose, if you will. And your assignment for this week is to make a flipgrid for me showing how you can use pose in your daily life. So I call it striking a pose, because who doesn't love striking a pose? But I call it striking a pose, and the way I strike a pose in my everyday life is not only do I use singing to share my emotions and to show who I am as a person, but I use my posture to show my confidence when I walk into a room. And I use my open mind to learn about different types of music so I can show you guys. And I use my open mind to learn more about Carlsbad, because I haven't been here very long, but I like learning new things about rodeos and about those chili peppers, those green ones. Those are very good, and I love them, and I had never had them before coming to New Mexico. So I use my open mind to learn all about the brand new place that I am living in. I use my effort by trying to put in 100% of me into not only school, but into my daily life as well. So I know that you guys can use pose in your everyday life, and I can't wait to see your flipgrids for you to tell me all about how you use pose in everyday life. I will see your assignments, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye!